So good morning, everybody, and welcome you to the June 18th, 2024 meeting of the Calvert County Board of Commissioners. At this time, we'll stand and have a pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the next item is to approve the agenda. Are there any corrections or additions to the agenda as presented?
I have none. Make a motion that we approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Have a motion and a second that we approve the agenda. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So I do have a couple of public service announcements this morning. Unfortunately, we want to pass along announce that the passing of William Bill Schooley. Mr. Schooley resided in St. Leonard's, was a very, very active member of the St. Leonard Volunteer Fire Department. He joined the department in 1984 and served until his death. He just great member of the Company 7 in St. Leonard. So we want to pass along our condolences to all his family and friends and those that he touched. Also, tomorrow is Juneteenth, where we celebrate the last enslaved people of the United States were freed. In those days, it took a while, and apparently Texas didn't free their slaves until Juneteenth of 2 years later. So, want to make sure that we remember that tomorrow. And also a reminder that the Linda Kelly Animal Shelter is still over capacity. And through this Saturday, June 22nd, all adoption fees are waived for pets over 1 year old. And there are many, many, many wonderful animals there that would make great pets. So if you have a need or a desire, please take this great opportunity to save some money and go down and get a lifelong companion. That concludes my public service announcements for today. Next item on the agenda is a proclamation. Commissioner Ireland, it's National Home Ownership Month.
Good morning, ladies. Please come forward, introduce yourselves, and tell us what you do.
Beverly Rasmussen. I'm a realtor with the Southern Maryland Association. I represent Calvert County.
Good morning. My name is Rachel Broderick. I'm a realtor with RE/MAX One here in Prince Frederick, and I'm also the Calvert County Director for the Southern Maryland Association of Realtors.
Okay, can you give us a brief overview of the real estate market, if you would?
Dare I?
It's slow.
I work a lot with first-time home buyers in our area, young people who hope to have the same opportunities that I've had. I'm a proud alumna of Calvert Elementary, Calvert Middle, and Calvert High School, and I'm happy to and proud to raise my family here. My son Cash is in the gallery today. So when I look forward to selling Cash a house someday, 20 years from now, I don't know that he'll be able to afford a starter home here in Calvert. It's a big challenge for a lot of people, and I think that with measured growth and measured incentives to help young people along, that one day that they'll be able to help themselves into home ownership and the American dream that way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would you ladies come forward, please? I like your purple dress. Purple's my color.
Purple for Hulk.
We have a proclamation we want to present you with today. It reads as follows. Whereas the month of June is widely celebrated as National Home Ownership Month, recognizing the significance of housing in our lives. And whereas regardless of whether one owns or rents, having a place to call home is essential for living with dignity and nurturing our families. National Home Ownership Month serves as a reminder of the value of home ownership, which is central to the American dream, the foundation for economic well-being and intergenerational wealth building. And whereas we celebrate the over 83 million Americans who are proud property owners nationwide, and we acknowledge the efforts of those striving to achieve the dream of home ownership. We are also mindful of the current challenges facing the housing market, including an inventory crisis and exorbitant housing costs, which require concerted efforts to address. And whereas the members of the Southern Maryland Association of Realtors have been dedicated to promoting and facilitating homeownership in Calvert County for over 50 years, whereas National Homeownership Month provides an opportunity to reaffirm our support for homeowners in our country and county, and to commit ourselves to removing barriers and expanding access to affordable housing. And now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Calvert County Commissioners recognizes the month of June as National Homeownership Month in Calvert County. We commend the local realtors for their longstanding efforts in fostering homeownership. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners expresses gratitude for this occasion to renew our commitment to supporting homeowners and working tirelessly to enhance accessibility and address the challenges faced by aspiring homeowners in Calvert County. Given under our hands and sealed this 18th day of June, 2024. Signed by County Commissioners. So if you ladies would get here in the middle, you can share this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So the next item on the agenda is consent. We have several items under consent today. Item 1, Department of Parks and Recreation Program Open Space Annual Program for fiscal year 2025. Item 2, Department of Parks and Recreation Kings Landing Park Trails and Boardwalks Program Open Space Grant. Item 3, Department of Public Safety State Fiscal Year 2025 Local Warrant Apprehension and Absconding Grant Program. Sorry about that. Item 4, Department of Parks and Recreation African American Heritage Preservation Grant Application. Item 5, Department of Economic Development Small Business Development Center Memorandum of Understanding for fiscal year 2025. And item 6, Department of Community Resources Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development Community Legacy Grant Transfer Station and Services Hub. Are there any objections to those items under consent today?
Have none, Mr. President, and I move that we adopt and approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Have a motion and a second that we adopt those items under consent today. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very light agenda today because we have the Maryland Secretary of Housing and Community Development. Secretary Day is in Calvert County touring, and we're supposed to join him. So that's the reason for the very brief agenda today, and so we're trying to catch up with him as he tours Calvert County. So that brings us to public comment. Mr. County Attorney.
Thank you, sir. The board adopted a resolution in 1989 intending to maintain the order and decorum of the governmental process. A copy is found to my right. Persons are welcome to address the Board of County Commissioners on any matter germane to the business of county government. Those addressing the board shall not be uncivil, rude, vulgar, profane, or otherwise disruptive to the conduct of the board's business. All speakers must identify themselves, and whether speaking as an individual where you be allocated 2 minutes, or as the appointed representative of a group where you be allocated 5. For those attending virtually, if you wish to speak, please use the raise your hand function. The Ethics Commission has asked that we remind speakers of public comment that lobbyists include those who seek to influence public policy, and lobbyists must register in advance. Left to right on my, anybody in the room wish to provide? Left to right on my screen, the first is Joseph Cormier. Please unmute yourself, identify yourself, and whether speaking as an individual or the designated representative of a group.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Joseph Cormier, serial commenter, and I'll be speaking on behalf of myself. Commissioners, I was hoping that you would say something about your emergency meeting that you had last Wednesday for those following along at home on the regular meetings. Your emergency meeting was an emergency of your own creation. There was no new information published. You had an emergency meeting because the superintendent did the thing he told you he was going to do back in March, and you panicked when they called your bluff. And I don't believe that that meeting was proper under the Opens Meeting Act. You should have had that stuff done at the June 4th meeting. You should have had that stuff done at the June 11th meeting. And I believe that Ms. Grasso's motion at the June 4th meeting was illegal, and I believe that you should address that, because you shouldn't be making motions contingent upon the election of somebody else. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Sarah Hall. Please identify yourself, whether speaking as an individual or as the designated representative of a group.
Good morning, Board of County Commissioners. I'm Sarah Hall, and I'm speaking as a community member. I live in Chesapeake Beach, and I'm ready today as a citizen and a parent of 2 children in Calvert County Public Schools. I wanted to express my complete disappointment in your leadership at the emergency meeting Wednesday night, June 12th, 2024. You all agreed to flat fund $10 million under what the Board of Education asked for, and because our budget is made of people are set to lose their jobs. An emergency meeting was called because positions were going to be cut. I'm sure people you know were personally going to lose them. You all finally come through with the money that should have been given in March, but not without berating our educational leadership and essentially making them grovel for the additional funds for our kids. We have the blueprint. It is law. It is an unfunded mandate. We can scream at our educational leadership, use foul language, but it is here and we have to implement it. You all have had a representative in those blueprint meetings since March of 2022. The county administrator has been in those meetings, yet you still decided to play politics with our children's money. You all accused the Board of Education of financial misdeeds in the past, none of which have materialized. The only thing you could publicly point to was a bill for retirement watches from a local jewelry store. Is that what we're worried about? Watches for people who have served our children nearly their entire lives? Even the purchase of computers was such under political scrutiny that IT did not make the purchase in time. Now 9th graders will have to potentially wait for their laptops when school starts, which is a disaster. That computer deal, once publicly explained, sounds like a great deal that can provide revenue, which really isn't our school board's job to do. That's your job. You determine taxes, budgets, and hopefully make great deals to bring in revenue. You all ran on a zero growth platform. Fine. You want to invest in public safety, emergency services. Great. But invest in schools. It's for public safety. Ask any police officer. They know that. Board member Lisa Grenis, sorry, I'll wrap up this side. Board member Lisa Grenis, in regards to student public safety, keeps repeating, what if a tragedy happens? It already did. One of our children was shot waiting for a bus at 7 a.m. That's the problem we need to be talking about, but we're not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Caller, last 4 digits, 4444. Please press *6 to unmute yourself, identify yourself, and whether speaking as an individual or group.
Dawn Level, reading comments for Joan Thorpe, individual. Good morning, Commissioners. Last week, my comments were about public hearing requirements and the inattention that allowed basically a blank check to be attached to the agenda instead of an actual draft budget resolution. Yesterday, I was able to find the adopted resolutions number 10-24 and 11-24 on the website, which apparently were prepared, signed, and recorded on June 7th. We still don't know why the actual resolution was not attached to the June 4th agenda. The budget that was attached to the resolution as Exhibit 1 had $154.7 million planned appropriation, but the condensed budget posted recently showed a $152 million planned appropriation to the Board of Education. Which number was in the adopted budget resolution? Subsequent to the recording of the 2 budget resolutions, there was a, quote, emergency, unquote, BOCC meeting on June 12th. This meeting was not known to most of the citizens. The main way this was advertised was by word of mouth, and it was called an emergency, something that most people consider to be caused by a physical threat such as a snowstorm or a hurricane, not an uninformed and apparently inadequate discussion about something as important as the funding of the BOE or the final county budget numbers. There can be little doubt that there was no reason other than that the discussion between the BOE and the BOCC were neglected until the very last minute, because one cannot fathom why something this important would not have been front and center long before the budget was adopted. And now we come to the legality of all of this. We have a signed resolution with an exhibit showing one amount as the appropriation for the BOE, and yet an amount $10 to $12 million more, depending upon the source one uses, that was discussed and approved on the 12th. I could not find any revised budget document on the website to show the changes. With this type of scattershot budget approach, one has to wonder if the AAA bond ratings will soon be a thing of the past. Again, please explain how this budget process has been prudent, responsible, transparent, and manageable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, there are no more speakers.
Thank you. That brings us to Commissioner reports. Commissioner Cox.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Saturday, I attended Juneteenth celebration down at Patterson Park. It was a great celebration, anywhere from a car show to a talent show. And then last night, we had a meeting with Secretary Jake Day from the DHCD, and we had a very good conversation with him, and we do have him all afternoon today to talk about housing, homelessness, and much more. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ireland.
Last Wednesday, I attended NH Northern High School Underclassmen Awards, where several members of the FBLA student leaders were recognized. As Commissioner Cox said last night, we kind of broke the ice with Secretary Day on some topics that we definitely need to discuss, and we're going to follow up on those this afternoon. And I hope everyone enjoyed their Father's Day weekend. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Rasso.
Last Tuesday, we attended the ribbon cutting of the Lure Oyster House, and I recommend everybody give it a look. It has a great history related to our county, and it's been refurbished very nicely. I was with Commissioner Ireland for the Future Business Leaders Awards, and I have to say their Northern High School's chorus did a beautiful job of our national anthem. It's the best I've heard in a long time. And we will be joining Secretary Jake Day today, Department of Housing and Community Development, for meetings. Met with them last night. It was a good meeting, but we'll continue today with the roundtable discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. So, anybody, if you're in Solomons, you get an opportunity, you should tour the Lure Oyster House. You'll see a great exhibit of the history of Calvert County and what we used to be back in many years ago. But, they've done a great job restoring the old Oyster House, and there's a great pictorial history of the waterman's life here in Calvert County back in those days. That's now gone. So, if you get an opportunity, please go by there. Just want to take a minute, a lot of comments today about the emergency meeting last week. As we've said before, we've been working with the school system since January, trying to resolve their budget. As late as Wednesday night, we were still getting new information about that budget that we had never heard until Wednesday. So it has been a challenge. To say that we haven't funded the school system in the last 3 years, as of last Wednesday, we've given them over $30 million in new funding. And we had a presentation a little bit ago with it's Homeowners Appreciation Month, and the realtor here said that, she wasn't sure her son was going to be able to afford a home in Calvert County. Well, I've said it many times before, if we just give the school system everything they ask for, her son won't be able to afford a house. None of us will be able to afford to live in Calvert County, because the taxes, not the cost of the house, the taxes on that house will drive you out of here. So yes, we've asked questions, just trying to make sure that they're doing the best that they can, because we can't sustain providing them $15 to $20 million every year. We can't. And if that's the reality, all we're trying to do is figure out if that is the reality. If that's the reality, then we're going to have to, I don't know the course we're going to chart, but we're going to have to chart a different course. And I think that the point we tried to make the other night was to spend $1 million on computers and at the same time say you're going to lay off staff just seems like a course that doesn't seem logical to us, but we're not educators. Maybe those computers are more important than having a person in the class. I grew up in a system where we didn't have computers, and that teacher was very, very important. So we're going to continue to work together with the school board. Blueprint has been a challenge. It's a challenge for every county in the state of Maryland. There's no county in the state of Maryland that has breezed through this process and funded Blueprint, and everything's great. There are challenges in all 24 school districts. So we're not alone in our challenge. What we appear to be alone in, at least in this region, is the amount of money that our school system keeps demanding that our neighbors don't. And we're just trying to figure that out. Why in Calvert County it costs so much more than it does in St. Mary's or Charles to meet the same Blueprint requirements. That's all we're trying to do. That's all. If you want to just give them a blank check, then we can do that. But just remember that the money that funds that check comes out of you. So that's all we're trying to do here. So, sorry, but that's all we keep talking about.
Move that we adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Everyone have a great day.